Hi, this is the wrap-up video for my 2023 3D Sculpting Daily Challenge, compiling all the renders and turntable animations and alternative renders of the 3D sculptures that I did every day in April. Man at Arms, Masters of the Universe and the characters from the Filmation cartoons are like my lucky charm, have been for years now. Opening the challenge, I always like to have one for day one. And Man at Arms was one that I always wanted to make, but I was a bit intimidated by the gear. But this year I went for it. Hollow Knight, another property that I have been visiting every year, and I thought this guys would be fun to make this year. We're still waiting for Silksong. It's been delayed yet again. God knows if it's gonna come out this year, but I keep doing it. The Nightmare Before Christmas is another property that I like to revisit every year, or at least some character from one of the stop-motion animated movies that I love. This guy was fun to make, had some interesting details and a great design, the two-faced politician thing. Gizmo Duck was a fun one to make. Again, this kind of mixture of sort of hard surface, but it's still cartoony and it's still round and organic, so it was a really fun one to make, a fun one to do the little details on the sort of gear. Jersey Devil is, at least in my memory, one of those hidden gems for the PlayStation 1. It had some great designs, and it was a bit repetitive in that term of that kind of platforming collectathon, but it was really interesting. It had a very good intro and cutscenes made into the animation. The Del Toro characters are always very interesting and very creative, and I always want to have some. And last year's, with Pinocchio, I had a great opportunity of doing this one. I really loved the design. I'm pretty happy with this. The Little Prince has been in my list for years, and for some reason I never got around doing it. But now I realized that this year is the 80th anniversary of the book, so I thought it was the perfect chance to do it. The Smurfs I used to love as a child. I had puppets, I had toys, I had different things, and this is from an episode that I remember quite distinctly, and I always wanted to make some Smurf character, and I tried before. It didn't really work. I couldn't really nail the likeness. It's very specific proportions, and I tried again this year and I liked it. Dahlia Gillespie. I love the original Silent Hill. I love this character. I love Liz Mamorsky that voiced her. I always wanted to make more Silent Hill stuff, and I actually would like to make some sort of fun fiction-y thing going back to the origins, and this was maybe the beginning of that. Marcel, the shell with shoes on. I remember when the trailer came out, I thought, what the hell is this? But it proved to be a very cute, very sweet little movie, and I loved the kind of animation and everything about it, and I thought it would be a fun little character to make. Tom, I always loved the designs of Samurai Showdown. I always wanted to make some characters from it. I've done other fighting game characters, but nothing quite like this before. It was a bit intimidating. It's the best or the most posed character that I've done, and I'm pretty happy with the result. As soon as I saw this guy in the trailers, I thought that this is going to be a fun one to model and 3D sculpt. It was fun. It's a simple design. I needed to do something simpler that day, and it was very effective. Sailor Moon was also in my list for a while, but I thought I was afraid of this anime kind of proportions and the eyes and the thing. I think it came out sort of okay. It still looks a bit weird from some angles, but I'm pretty satisfied with the result, and I'm glad that I finally tried it. Cult of the Lamb was great. It was a lot of fun to play in streams, and I love the designs and the animations and the little cartoony characters. It's really a great style to try to emulate, and it's a bit unlike anything I've done before. I've done some sort of cute little characters, but nothing quite like this. I'm glad that I finally did it. I always wanted to make something from the Ralph Bakshi movies, and specifically The Lord of the Rings. It's an underrated movie. It was sort of controversial. It's sort of unfinished and everything, but I really loved it. It made me really get into this world. Dot Matrix I remember liking so much the first time I saw Spaceballs, and it's a very funny character. It's a very interesting design as well, sort of hard surface and sort of organic, because obviously it's still a costume that a person has to put on, but it's a robot, so I thought it would be funny and fun to make, and it goes with other robot ladies that I've done before. Two-Face is another one that I've always wanted to make, but I was also intimidated because of its a very extreme sort of design. I also wasn't sure how to make these sort of split in the colors and in the design without it looking like... I tried before, and it ended up looking like it had a weird seam in the middle, but now I've fixed it. Size Noodles I always loved, especially the original sort of puppet, not so much the CGI one from the special edition, but it's a very funny sort of character. And I really wanted to make something from the Return of the Jedi this year because it's the 40th anniversary, and this guy was perfect. Krusty the Clown. I always like to have some character from the Matt Groening shows, either The Simpsons or Futurama or even Disenchantment. And I tried Homer before, and I didn't like it. It didn't really work, and I turned it into Krusty, and I liked it a lot better. Mortal Kombat is another one of the properties that I always like to have in my challenges, and I thought it was finally time to Melina it was a bit of a safe sculpt. It ended up looking like I dressed up a mannequin or something with a somewhat recognizable costume. I should have done better for such an iconic character. Giacomo from Thumbelina, the Don Bluth movies and his characters are something that I always try to have, and I haven't been very successful in all these years. I've found very few that I could actually do and that actually worked. I would like to make more in the future. A clicker from The Last of Us. This type of character has been in my list also since the first game came out, and I never really tried it, but now with the success of the TV show and everything, I thought it's finally time to go for it. And it's pretty simple. I did just a bust and not a full body sculpt, because I needed to do something quickly. Blastoise, again, another one of those hidden gems for the PlayStation 1, or at least in my mind. It was a fun sort of caricature of this space captain, sort of womanizer and empty-headed, voiced by Phil Hartman. The Prince of Egypt, I love the scene in the movie. I love the style and the design and the animation, and it was very difficult to try to emulate, but I did the best I could. I loved the face. I'm very happy with the face. I'm happy with the basket. I should have done the hair better, but I'm kind of satisfied. The Sandman, again, I did a couple of 3D sculptures based on the Sandman years ago, and now that finally the TV show came out, I thought it was time to do another one, and Mervyn was the perfect one for that. It's relatively simple. Cuphead, I also love the bosses and the design, and I wanted to make some more characters from it. I love the style and the type of animation that it's inspired on, and it was also a sort of simple and quick one to make on a day that I needed to make something easy and sort of quickly. Jurassic Park I really love. It's really important in my life, and this year in June it's going to be the 30th anniversary, so I wanted to make something specifically from the original Jurassic Park, and this guy I thought would be a good idea to make. The Phantom of the Opera and Sarah Brightman as Christine are very important in my life as well, and I wanted to make some Sarah fan art or some Phantom fan art, and I wasn't sure of what to do this year. And in the last minute, I really thought of this, that it could be an interesting costume to make and do all the details and stuff. Christine took actually 2 days to make, so on the 30th I was trying to figure out what to do for the 29th. So I thought of this guy, and it did it rather quickly, and I finished it. And for some reason I did the horns too thick. They should have been thinner, but I decided it was fine. Porco Rosso I saw many years ago and I loved it. I love Studio Ghibli as well. Ghibli? I don't even know anymore. I like to have some characters from their movies in my challenge, and this guy really worked in the last minute, in the last day. So that's it for this year. Thanks for watching, and see you next year. I've done this for 8 years, I might as well do it for 10.